is an honor and a privilege for me to be here today. And first of all, I want to thank all the leadership. I really want to, sincerely thank Mr. Bernie Chua, Mrs. Chua. So let's give it up for them, but let's give it up for them. Let's give it up for them. Let's give it up for them. Let me tell you what. Yesterday, I was showing Mr. Bernie Chua a picture that was sent to me when I hit Black Diamond. And it was a picture that someone else took me with Mr. Bernie in my very first event. And I told Bernie, I know that you didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who you were. But now we know each other who we are. Thank you very much. Because if it wasn't because of his vision, and the visionaries, and the vision of the other people that I'm going to mention, none of this would be happening here today. I want to sincerely thank Mr. Shane Moran and Mrs. Moran. Let's give it up for them too. Let's give it up. Thank you very much. Thank you. I also want to thank, a couple that has made a big difference in my life. I remember, hearing at the Cash Cow. And that was the only thing that I was able to hear and that I was able to plug into initially. And many of you guys know who I'm talking about, the Michael Jordan, and really the person that I just, every time I think about network marketing and I think about where this company is going, is through these visionaries. But the first person that I actually got to hear most of the time, it was Mr. Holton Bug. So let's give it up for Mr. Holton Bug and Mrs. Arlene Bug. Let's give it up for them. I want to thank, the Crown Diamonds for setting the example, for raising the bar. Mr. David Imonitier, making the steps easy to believe and to raise the bar of belief. And, to Mr. Luis and Angela Ventura for just leading by development of diamondship. So let's give it up for them. Let's give it up for them. I want to also, be thankful to Mr. John and Blanca Saturas for, making the road an easier path, for paving it and making sure that they can, bring their part in their section. To me, when I see John Saturas, I know that he can explain the compensation plan in detail to the T. And it's just a way to actually learn it. But when I got into the company, I did not have that knowledge of the compensation plan where they bring that section, and I'm very thankful for making the road easier for us. So let's give it up for John and Blanca Saturas. I also want to thank a lot, to a person that didn't lose faith on me. He believed for 2 years that we can make big things. And let me tell you, 3 years ago, he called me and told me a few words. They were strong words, very few, because I was the one that used to do more of the talking. He was the listening person, I was the talking person. And he told me this following words. He says, brother, he says, I have found the project and the company where we can become multimillionaires. And see, back then, when the sachets of coffee that we have today were not as luxury as it is today, it was hard to believe. When he actually told me go to this website, and it was by the name of Organo Coal, I was like, is he into something like gold that is organic or something like that? So when I actually checked the website, it was an ugly website. And then when he told me, I was trying to act smart, because my background is from real estate. That's not how I came to this country, but being in the real estate industry for 12 years being a broker. Sometimes you think that because of having such of titles or licensings of the states and all this stuff makes you smarter, smarter than somebody else. And see, I was playing it smart, because when I asked him, I would like to see headquarters. He says, well, our headquarters is really not what you're probably expecting to see, a big, luxury building where you're going to be able to actually see that like many other companies. And then I said, how's the customer service? And he says, well, we don't have customer service. And I'm like, at that point, after I saw the website, after I saw the sachets of coffee, after he actually responded to a few questions that I had actually asked, I had already made a decision in my mind that this wasn't the opportunity that I wanted it to become part of. And the reason being, it was because, we tend to see the big things, and we miss out on the little things that we don't see. See, we tend to see the bigger things, but we don't see what it's going to make it happen. It's not the money that makes things happen. It's not, the activity by itself that makes things happen. It's the mind with a vision that if you implement it, and if it's the right leadership and the right people, that will make it happen. And see, I wasn't paying attention to the vision of this wonderful company. I even asked Mr. Shane Moran, when we were in OJ Care doing the service, and he was telling me about how Organogold started. Let me tell you one thing. I just learned this weekend how Organogold really started. Can you imagine? And I'll tell you one thing. Don't look at the big things, because are the little things that matter the most. We have an opportunity that, if it wasn't because of this gentleman called me 3 years ago and told me, and even though I had made the decision in my mind that I wasn't going to do it, because there was no customer service, because the website was super ugly, because I didn't drink coffee, because I made every single excuse possible. And then, a year went by, but my financial situation, instead of getting better, it was worse, because during that period of time, I had to declare, chapter 7. I actually went to chapter 11, and then from chapter 11, the judge said, they said, hey, listen, you're not for chapter 11, you gotta go directly to chapter 7. And see, at that point, a lot of things started to happen, happening inside of me in my mind, because, while I was trying to build another business in a different company, I was hearing the name of my friend, that he was doing great in this in Organogold. And then, I started to hear it more, and then I started to hear it more, and then I started to hear it more. And I started to recall the call that he actually called me and put me in 3 ways with Mr. Holton Boggs. And I totally ignored that call, because I wasn't really paying any attention to it. But I started remembering the fact that he continued to call me every single month, and that he wasn't pushing the opportunity to me, but rather he was asking me how is it that I was doing, and how the businesses was going. And then I was telling him, usually you want to tell people how great you've been and how great, how great you've been doing, right? Even though probably it's been the opposite way. It tends to be, let me give you a tip. 95% of the times people are doing the opposite of what their results is opposite of whatever they're saying. 95% of the time. If you go to anyone and you tell them how you're doing, they're going to tell you great, with the exception of the OG family. If we're talking on the outside world, people are going to tell you, I'm doing really great. But see, in true life, what is it are you comparing it with? Because there's the law of relativity. You're doing great with what? With your uncle that is probably unemployed? Yes, you're probably doing great if you're comparing yourself to that. But if you're comparing yourself to people that are succeeding in life and living the #1 lifestyle in the world, probably it's completely different, right? So make sure you use the natural, wonderful, universal laws to your advantage. And I came to learn, after hearing my friend's name so often, that I called him, and I called him, and he wouldn't answer. At that time, he had an emergency, but I thought that he was mad. because I didn't want to join Organo Gold when he was inviting me. Eventually, I was able to communicate with him, and I asked him how he's doing. He never told me really how he was doing, but I was hearing it from other people, and I asked him really, truly, sincerely, tell me how is it that you're doing. And the only way I was able to find out how he was doing is because I told him, listen, let's buy a property together, let's invest on it, you put the money, I put my knowledge, and let's share 50-50. He said, send me the information. I sent him the information via email. You know, he got it. And then I said, Jose, you know what? In order to submit an offer full cash, we need to see bank statements. But in true reality, I wanted to see really if he was making this. and 3 days, he sent me a fax with a bank statement. And at that point in time, it was like 7:30 p.m. California time. And I saw those bank deposits and I was like, oh my goodness. At that point, I couldn't sleep. I said, listen, tell me what I need to do.
The fortune's in the follow-up. The follow-up is the fortune.
You know what he said? He said, I will be in California 30 days from today. I'll meet you then. And I'm like, Jose, can we do it sooner? And he says, no, I'm going to be in California. I'll meet you then. In other words, let me tell you one thing. We are in a high demand right now. Organo Gold is on demand. It is not the opportunity to be playing around. And therefore, I really want to thank very much for giving me this opportunity and for actually being so persistent for all 2 years straight out of calling me and eventually being able to see this great company and the vision of where we're heading to become the most admired corporation in the world. So please, help me give him a wonderful recognition to Mr. Jose Aldon. Because people like him is what's going to make this company to become the most admired corporation. Let me tell you why. It's an easy guy. It's a simple guy. And that if he can do it, I saw myself through his eyes. And I say, if he's able to do it with only 4 years of education, I think I got too much education, too much garbage in my head. So I gotta get it out and just put the action. And I wanna leave you with this. A lot of people has asked me all the time, tell me the nugget, the secret of the secrets, the hidden, totally buried secret that has never been told. And I'm gonna reveal it right this moment. We got the right leadership, ladies and gentlemen. We got the right product. We got the right company. We got the right compensation plan. Stop questioning what is outside and start looking what is inside. Because we have a system that already works. And it's not the outside that is not working, it's the inside that you haven't taken the time to take a look at it, because if it's not working, it's not the out, it's the in that you gotta change in order to succeed. Make sure that you change the in so that the outside can reflect what you've been living from the inside. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Black Diamond, Raul